literally episodes straight.
Yeah, I know. And then I need to throw this in door really quick, and then we'll be good. Even though I believe we are live.
Look at everyone on their phones, like.
Yeah,
nothing's going on right now.
We're live, though.
Live.
Yeah, we are live. You can show some professionalism.
Like remembering the power brick to the system we're supposed to be playing that day?
Oh, yeah.
Or the sensor bar?
Okay, to be fair, sensor bar is not used with half those games.
Anything we're going to use a Wii remote.
I have Wii U and a Wii here. You don't even have to bring systems.
Wow, that's not...
We're going to play them Neo Geo games, though.
Oh, yeah, those TurboGrafx games.
I don't have TurboGrafx.
I want TurboGrafx real bad.
I
do.
It's garbage.
It's not garbage.
Yes, it is. I know you do. I know where you get it. He still got that copy of Bonks.
Where'd you get it?
Awesome.
Oh, no shouting out other game stores on here.
All right.
Can you edit that out?
Yeah, I can. We're going to edit out this whole beginning.
All right.
But, everyone welcome, P.Switch Podcast. Yes. It's a show about fish.
Merry
It's
Fishmas.
already a train wreck.
Yeah,
Merry
P.Switch
Fishmas.
Podcast, week 3. You already know John. You already know AJ. You know me. But you haven't met this man right here, who actually wrote all the original entries for the Pokedex.
I
His
did.
name's Austin.
Hypno
And,
kidnaps children.
Yeah. But either way, before we get started with the official podcast tonight, which is going to be dubbed Your Video Game Company is Bad.
And you should feel bad.
And you should feel bad.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about the name of the podcast that's going to go up this week when it goes on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Your Video Game Company is Bad, and you should feel bad.
Okay, I can live with that.
But our mutual friend group, Ohio Retro Gamer, yeah, they had a Christmas special, and we're gonna open up all our Christmas presents we got from them.
Pretty sure the term is called Secret Santa.
Secret Santa.
No, Christmas special. It's like on
Christmas
ABC.
special.
It's like on ABC.
It's on ABC.
You might have seen
Stop motion.
the Star Wars Christmas special. It's just like that.
Exactly.
A train wreck?
Yep.
Oddly enough, I look the shortest here. If you look at the
Yeah.
screen,
Yeah.
because
Because you're chilling in the comfy chair.
I am in a comfy chair.
You're in vape position.
I am in vape position. Okay, so we're doing the Secret Santa.
Yep.
None of us have seen what's in these yet. You know, we obviously sent our gifts out to other people, and they already got those and opened those. But we figure, what the hell, we'll open them up on the podcast. So, AJ, let's go left to right.
Yeah.
AJ can go first.
Sure, I'll go first.
It depends on what
Hey,
you're looking at.
AJ's got a tube.
I have a tube and a box.
Is it a tentacle? I hope it's a tentacle.
Oh, it's a wall scroll. Oh, I see.
Oh, it's
It's-
Super Mario 3.
Well,
They
show
were-
the kind, folks.
Yeah. They really ripped off that CM Punk one. That's like the exact same thing.
Oh, that's dope.
Actually,
Yeah, it is.
looks,
Oh, that's
that's
shiny.
really
That'll look
good
great in the
color.
game room.
Yeah.
That's
Hold
Here,
on.
pull over this way, because, yeah. Get rid of John.
Right in front of John.
that's fine. I'm texting.
Don't watch him text. Watch
Alright,
Mario.
alright, there we go.
Ole,
So-
ole, ole, ole.
Yeah, we got the Super Mario Brothers 3 wall scroll.
That is
And what's in the box, man?
What's in the box? I thought we weren't allowed to shout out.
I didn't shout out anything. That's a quote from a movie.
What movie?
I can't think of it. Oh, that's just another YouTuber. He doesn't do a podcast. Wink, wink, nudge,
No,
nudge.
what's
If you
in
do,
the-
this one always looks for guests.
No, what's in the box? It was with wasn't Keanu Reeves in that?
No, it's is it Pitt?
Fiddle with that later.
Because
Like-
he's like asking what's in the box. Because it's like it ends up being like his wife's head or something.
Oh, it's you.
I came prepared.
Look
Yeah, you
at
did.
You should have brought the knife wrench.
Well, one of these days I will be prepared for everything that's
I
going
could have
on.
brought.
No,
the
you
knife.
won't.
just- My life is hectic right now, sir. I've got a birthday in 2 weeks. You can cut me some slack.
I know when my birthday's coming up, life gets nuts.
Dude, it does for me.
I have to eat all this cake and go out to dinner and get these presents.
I didn't get to
I
do
don't
the
think
first
he's
two of
taking
those
a turn.
things.
I got
Ooh.
a boxed NES cleaning.
That's
is-
a cool one.
Yeah, that's
I
nice.
actually.
I've never seen one of those boxed.
I've had a couple. There's a couple
What's
different
the game?
versions.
I got Top Gear, which I did not have.
Nice.
That is a good game for what I remember.
I was hoping you were going to get like a rip label game so you had a
Oh, I
mystery.
got Stunt Race FX.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
got
think
a
I
really
have
good
that.
Christmas.
Hell yeah.
Repro.
Shut up. Oh, and I
Reaper.
got some Link Sours.
Showers?
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
You know, I've owned a couple of these cleaning kits. I
I've
had never
never
actually
s-
owned this particular box art one.
Mhm.
This one's a cool one.
So thank you for
Because most of the time they're pretty boring.
my toy Secret Santa for putting me one step above John.
I might actually have a different one up on the shelf over there, but I've never seen that box. That's
Yeah,
a cool
that
box,
is
dude.
awesome. Definitely a good job by my Secret Santa.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn.
That was assault. We have it on camera.
I don't know where my box went.
Next to you.
Oh no, it's you can't hand that to me. It's next to you.
Give him the box.
I can't reach that. Okay. In all honesty, mine has been opened by Kayla. I
she
did not
had to
see
know.
what it was, and then she resealed it.
Yeah. Probably knew it was in my tube, but not what was in the box.
I bet she does.
Oh,
I bet
it's
she
in
does.
my-
Family friendly podcast. Let's make this.
Since when? We just had complaints from me about this.
Okay.
I've listened to 2 or 3 of these, and they are not that family friendly.
this is.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
awesome!
That is pretty cool. I'll put that right there for the podcast.
New mascot.
What else is in
That
here?
is dope.
Mr. Rossetti?
Love it. Love it.
And oh, the Mario Pez.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is.
I like that a lot. I'm just gonna set them in front of me. Oh wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more!
Happy holidays from your Torg Secret Santa.
Oh,
Oh,
and
boy.
this little figure.
I think you're getting
That's
married
a
again.
Burger King toy.
And this little figure.
He's triggered now.
I think you're getting married again here.
I hope so. And that little guy.
Dude, if you have one of the ones I'm missing, I'm stealing it. I don't think I have the one up.
Oh, he lights up too.
Yeah.
Already I made a semen.
I'm having a hard time. I'm really struggling.
Now imagine if it was your birthday. It'd
I
be
don't-
even worse.
I don't know what this
I'm
says.
guessing a pin.
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. It is a pin.
Dude.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was the
pre-order?
pack-in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
pre-order
cool.
thing. I guarantee I know who your Secret Santa was.
Hold up.
I'm saying it was Rachel.
You think I had Rachel?
I think so.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I love this stuff.
That makes sense.
I love little tchotchkes. I hide these all around the shop.
That's a noise.
Do you do?
Yeah, there's little guys all over the place.
I'm not. I've
Oh,
never.
you're not
looked
gonna
for
find them. I think there's only like 2 out right now because I kept people were stealing them.
them.
I'm not surprised by that.
Super glue 'em.
I love this so much.
I know. I played with that thing for hours.
All right, well let's get to the podcast.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
I got a package.
Who?
I don't know. It says fragile. on
I
it.
love this. Whoever this was, thank you very much. This is too cool. I love little
know.
tchotchkes. I know.
I have a feeling I know what mine is.
Let's take this away from Brian. He almost lost his fingers just now.
I like that a lot.
This was not what I was expecting. Not at all.
It's for Gile.
Ooh.
That makes noise. Too.
And yeah, well, my things were. What am I a fan of? I'm a fan of Castlevania. I'm a fan of Yakuza, Bullet Club stuff.
Cool, man.
I can always use another copy of Dracula's Curse. I love this game. It's very good.
Oh yeah.
And there's what is this? And I actually did need this one.
N64?
This one- yeah, one of the N64 Castlevanias. You
Bubble wrap.
wrapped.
Tough.
Hey, it's not the bubble wrap. It's the tape.
It's the operator. Yeah.
Fine.
I don't know. These.
Yeah, and Castlevania on the 64. which
This
I
kind of
need.
classes up the podcast, man.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah,
So trashy.
and that is all I got, which is fine because I needed one really bad.
I really like that box art, man.
He's gonna try and steal it
is
from you.
very nice.
I don't collect anymore. I would. Honestly, I probably would try and take this from
I've
you.
got a box protector at home waiting for it.
I got one if you want one.
All right, so I believe we are done with the unboxing. Thank you for all who showed up to watch the unboxing. I don't know if anyone did. But I think we need to move on to the main course, obviously, which is John ripping the box.
It was like that.
That's a
You think
lot.
I don't know how to open something to CIB?
Yes,
That's fair.
because all sitting CIB just in your case right now. All right, so we're gonna start off with the podcast, which is your video game company's bad and you should feel bad. We're looking at big blunders that video game companies have made. Oh, not even just big, even small ones. But
I'm gonna find that tab.
there are two subjects that are completely off the the schedule this week that we're just not doing, and those are the Nintendo PlayStation, because that deserves its own podcast.
Agreed.
And we're not doing the fall of Atari, because that also deserves its own podcast.
Well, the fall, yeah, Atari, that's going to be a long topic.
And it's not even just the video game crash. It goes so much further.
Yeah, I mean, it's, how just the way they produce games, they destroyed home gaming in the United States. I mean,
they were part of it.
They were a major part of it.
Let's not have any quality control there.
Yeah, so I mean, tonight it's just going to be, and whether it be a decision they made with a console or a accessory
decisions.
Or
games,
whatever it may be, each of us picked 2 except for him.
Yeah, and AJ doesn't like to. AJ's the rebel. Look at him.
Why do you have
this
one?
young buck stuff?
I could have given you a list. You told us you had I got 30. It don't matter what you guys pick.
No, I said he had 30.
Well, steal one of his.
He doesn't have any.
Yeah,
well,
I'm just gonna coast.
All right. So John's doing 3. I have 2. AJ has 1.
Start with AJ's.
Since John has 3.
I don't have 3. I only have 2. Someone else go first.
You're an ass.
Brian goes first.
All right, fine. I'll go first.
You're the host.
I am the host, to be fair. I have to keep things organized and orderly, except for when we're actually just doing video game streams. Then I'm a fuck. All right, so we're gonna talk about something that happened really recently, honestly.
Can't see you.
Oh.
I told you should have moved that somewhere else.
There we go. I should be in... Yeah, I'm above camera
Next time around, I say it's forbidden.
What's forbidden?
The computer sitting right there.
But it looks nice and techy. Let's just move on.
Nice and tacky. Am I right?
That wasn't funny.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Show off.
Yeah. But recently, now everyone's heard the controversy with Destiny 1. It didn't promise anything. It didn't keep any of its promises, whatnot, and so forth. Destiny 2 came out. And it did. It held up a lot more of what Destiny 1 was. It added shit. There's a story in there now, and plenty of that. What's really garbage with them is the first, DLC came out, right? It's very small.
Mm-hmm.
And, what happened is, if you haven't bought that DLC but you bought the game already, you've now lost content because they've pulled it from the game if you haven't bought the DLC. The final end of the game raid that you were able to do when you had the base game, you're not allowed to do anymore. There's a weapon that drops in it that you can't use anymore. And they've taken away a bunch of other missions and stuff that you can't access anymore because you haven't bought the DLC yet.
Well, that's stupid.
Yeah,
It's extremely stupid.
No company's ever literally here's an add-on. By the way, if you don't buy the add-on, we're taking away stuff. And I think it just sets a really bad possibility for the future of people hate DLC already. But this is...
That's not true.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah. DLC is good in certain spots. Playing to win, yes, that's not okay.
Well,
if you're adding more content to the game...
most people have gone sour on season passes and junk like that because they don't add enough or they're hiding stuff behind it. And now this one's taking away.
I haven't heard about any of this.
Yeah, I hadn't either, but it's probably because I don't give a crap about Destiny.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
Well, I'm just saying, it's not even giving a crap about Destiny, but imagine, Nintendo's only now getting into DLC. But imagine you can't beat Mario now.
They just gave Link a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Mario has a Vespa scooter.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, just, there you go. You can no longer beat Mario because you haven't bought the DLC packs.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, it's
shady.
Yeah, I get what about it's wrong.
I just hadn't heard of it.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing where I've met a lot of Destiny players, and I think they're going to keep at it regardless. They're going to get pissed for 2 minutes, and they'll keep playing the game. It's the kind of stuff I see with games like this all the time.
I don't know. I've talked with some people, and I think we've come to the most common conclusion that Destiny is the most hardcore game for casual gamers.
Overwatch?
No, Destiny.
Overwatch, though?
It's a multiplayer game. It has its own league right now, even. They put a lot into that game.
Doesn't Overwatch have a league too?
No, that's what I'm saying. Overwatch does.
Oh, I thought you were saying
No,
Destiny
no,
did.
no. Destiny Destiny doesn't have anything to it other than the main game. And hey, you didn't spend an extra $30. Now less of the main game.
I need to be honest here. I completely tuned out the last 2 minutes.
That's fine.
I was looking at our back play or our replay here, and I look so short. It looks like I have a huge head on a tiny body.
You do.
I was expecting him to say, I look so good.
I do. Sorry.
All right, but I mean, literally, most of the reason I bring this up is because it's really kind of currently happening right now.
Yeah.
As I said, I think it just sets a super bad example, and I don't think there's any. The only fixing it is just giving back the players.
Yeah,
what
patch
they
the
had.
stuff back.
And I don't know, because that's part of the podcast topic too. Is what if it hadn't have happened, which means Destiny wouldn't be any different. And how to fix it, which that's the only thing I can fix. But I mean, if you have those fans who have left now because of that, which I'm sure there are some.
Well, I think that's a hard thing to really talk about because we don't know what the real fallout is yet. You know what I mean? We can say, well, what would have happened if they hadn't done that? Well, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen now that they did. Is it going to...
know if the fan base is going to drop off or sales are going to
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. And I mean, it's good we have some new gen stuff in here because I don't do any new gen. I don't know anything about it.
How do you work that Xbox?
I don't know how to do it at all. I mean, that's tough. We'll see what the fallout is in the next year or so, whether or not, the fans actually leave the game or, abandon the franchise, or do they just say, and keep going?
I think a lot of them are going to do that. That's the problem.
That disappoints me.
I've seen a lot of people who play video games, just in general, that, yeah, I'm a bitch about it, but it's kind of where the buck stops.
So I mean, it is Activision, who is trash anyway. But it's one of those scary things that as soon as one company gets away with it, you allow more companies to be able to get away with it. And
just waiting for you have been shut down by Activision on
Though,
screen.
that almost seems like it wasn't intentional, because that's just stupid if it was.
It was intentional.
That doesn't make any sense.
There's literally one weapon in the game you can no longer use because it's only found in that raid.
That doesn't make any sense. Unless they had the DLC ready beforehand.
I bet they almost guaranteed they did.
And then they realized, we released these weapons into the game that we were only going to have for the DLC. Oops.
Yeah, well,
and took them back.
Yeah, you shouldn't punish people for your fuck up.
Yeah, but I mean that would make sense, I guess. Not from an actual.
I think it might actually just be a pressure tactic to get more people to buy the DLC,
or just fucks them over. People stop playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not the way.
That's video game Darwinism.
Yeah, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, there's no stopping it. It's just I definitely felt like I needed to bring that up because I was originally going to bring up all the loot boxes and shit. It does.
Well, yeah,
but
bring up the loot boxes.
I mean, I don't know. That's a whole nother. I have to do more research into it, but I know how it ended up was basically in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you were going to either spend hours upon hours upon hours to unlock and level everything so that you could play the characters their full potential, or you could buy loot boxes for chances just to have them unlocked right away.
Well, see, I hate new generation gaming because you can buy a win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The games I play, the games I love, if you can't beat it, you can't beat it. I mean, there's no cheat. You can say in certain games, there's ways to go back behind or back doors and stuff like that, but those are built into the game intentionally. You can't just pay and all of a sudden I have everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't pay $20 to get to Star Road?
No, you have to know how to play.
You get Reptile to show up and he kicks your ass. You start over.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that was a nice reference.
I'm just saying, that's the one. It's like him and Akuma are the two I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Akuma stays, I think.
No, it kicks your ass.
No, you're good, and you had to be able to actually play the game, and if you couldn't beat something, you couldn't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I hate new gen games because if you're willing to drop money, hey, you're good.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the original proposed time that it might take to 100% the game was something around 2,000 hours or something. It's crazy. it was a ridiculous number.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a single game.
To have everything for every class.
that's kind of ridiculous. But if you love the game, you'll play it. I mean,
But
I've loved the games. I love TF2.
yeah, that's where I was about to go. You first.
And I had 500 hours on one class in that game. I never had a class that was nearly as popular, but there was never, I don't know. I never still put 2,000 hours into that game.
I played 700 hours of Scout, and then a grand total of like 60 hours on every other class total.
Yeah.
I've probably got the most hours in BioShock, just because the multiple times I've played through it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of hours into Breath of the Wild, but I mean, I've only got like 120, I think. But BioShock, I've probably got the most hours in.
I mean, I'd probably be either Fallout 3 or Revenge.
Yeah, I mean,
I literally can spend all day playing.
I don't know why we're naming off what our longest game is. I don't know how that came about.
Because, no matter how much... These are games we adore that we're not going to come close to breaching 2,000 hours in.
Yeah. All right. I just looked it up on what was the estimated time to unlock everything without ever having spent a dime in Star Wars 2 other than when you bought it. 4,528 hours.
Nope. So they're definitely expecting people to get sick of trying and just paying for shit.
Yeah.
Well, I never would.
Yeah. No,
Never in a million years.
Unless I can pay to be Jar Jar. I don't know.
AJ is the only Jar Jar fan on this panel right now.
That is not true, because did you see that
on this panel?
On the panel, maybe.
Yeah.
The thing I shared on Facebook the other day where
It was Jane.
Mace Windu and somebody else.
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo
Rank
Ren,
lower
Mace
than
Windu,
Jar
rank
Jar
lower than
Binks.
Jar Jar Binks on
That's-
Star
You
Wars.
know what, though? That's not Mace Windu's fault. They did not do it.
No, they didn't.
I mean, that was just like
Yeah.
completely different topic. What are we doing?
Yeah. This is how it works.
Why would you
man.
bring up Jar Jar? You know, it just makes my blood pressure.
Actually, that one's trigger we did not know.
I hate that.
I love Jar Jar.
It's so stupid.
He's
so
comic book
great.
guy. Jar Jar, everybody hates you but me.
Yeah.
I hate you. I don't want to do
All
this
right.
anymore.
So basically, DLC is getting worse. And,
Yeah, like, little plastic figures by Nintendo that they're not distributing enough of.
That's not really.
that's not the issue anymore for them.
But it still is. Like, people bitch about $5 DLCs. Here's Nintendo coming out with $12 DLCs.
Okay, I can agree on that.
that don't really do much in most games.
But I will say this: you also at one point lose the ability to get that DLC.
I haven't bought a DLC since Black Ops.
With an amiibo, you at least have a tiny little statue.
Yeah. And those servers aren't going down. If you can find the
Yeah.
amiibo, you've got the amiibo.
Like John's Mr. Rossetti right there.
Did you see they're doing? I'm sure you all saw the cereal is going to be.
Yes.
It comes tomorrow.
That's pretty funny.
I kind of want the cereal, but I'm probably not going to be able to ever eat it.
It doesn't do much though. It only gives you some points and some hearts and Odyssey.
Still amiibo.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get coins in that game and hearts.
I know.
All right.
Very,
But yeah,
very
DLC, it's gotten worse, and right now it looks like it's going even more worse. And you're going to see, I think you're going to see a split in companies where it's the casual ones that throw out this DLC like all the time, and then you're not going to see. I think that's most AAA games right now, and then you're going to see kind of like AA games or whatever you would want to call them. I've been hearing that term more, AA games that are like, $40 games. They definitely aren't nearly as long, but they have more to them if you're like an actual gamer.
Yeah, well.
Would you call Mario Odyssey that then? Because you can get through the game in
I
like
would,
8
actually.
hours.
I would
No,
call...
the current speed runs are down under 2.
I'm not talking speedrun. I'm just talking playing through the game at a normal pace.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can beat the game in a
But
short
the
amount of
option's
time.
there to have more.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm currently, God, I don't even know how many hours I got into it, but I'm at 911 moons.
So close. So close.
But the last 80 I need, you know what I mean? Like,
They're in, what, said Darker Side and Even Darker Side or something?
well,
like that?
I beat Dark Side and got all that. Darker Side is one I just, every time I warp there to mess with it, I just,
My favorite DC
You
villain.
stop having fun?
it isn't. At that point, it's not fun. It's a grind.
Yeah.
And I'm at that point in the game where I think I'm going to put it down and be done with it because I feel like I'm grinding now instead of just having fun playing a game. So I think I'm just about done with Odyssey, which I think should have been in contention pretty easily for Game of the Year. But
it was, yeah. Breath
Breath of the Wild deserved it, but I think Odyssey could have been right there with it.
There are plenty of people who argue which one was better this year.
I can't tell you. I mean, I'm not mad about either one if they won, but I know Breath of the Wild won, which I might go back because I accidentally deleted my 120-hour save file, so I might have to go back and beat that game again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do the DLC.
Hop on the motorcycle, man.
I don't want the motorcycle, and the other one, you can tame dogs. I mean, you know.
The new one that just came out is like more story stuff. It's about the Guardians.
Yeah, but the Master Quest or whatever, I never did that, and it just didn't look that interesting to me.
So I would say this: the only reason I'm really excited about maybe the DLC for Zelda is that motorcycle can go up walls.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, they show it like going up an incline, so that makes it kind of more interesting to me.
Okay, so
Zelda into Trials.
Yeah.
So we just branched out that just now all DLC has as opposed to what it originally started as.
Not all DLC.
Most DLC is
but a lot of DLC right now on AAA games is dog.
Genuinely don't remember what his first time was.
Yeah,
Something with Destiny.
Yeah, it started with Destiny, and then we got to Zelda.
It was about Batman.
Justice League, good movie.
Meh.
Yeah, no.
You didn't see it.
I don't have to see it.
Shut up.
It's got
John
Ben
was in
Affleck.
it.
Yeah.
John was in it.
Don't you know? Me and Freddie.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
No,
it was Fred Savage. Sorry.
Me and Fred Savage. Speaking of my topic.
Yeah.
Alright.
We're going Power Glove, baby.
Oh. You want to go grab your Power Glove?
No, I'm not going to grab a Power Glove. I don't
If people are listening to this, they probably know what a Power Glove is by now.
Yeah. You know, the Power Glove was released in '89 and discontinued in '90.
Sounds right.
If that tells you anything. Now, you know, what we can say is the Power Glove, the marketing for it was absolutely ridiculous. It was so good. The execution was garbage. They sold over 1 million units in that 1 year.
Why don't you just
Did they
say
seriously?
it? It's so bad.
It's not.
It is.
Yeah, don't say
No,
it.
the Power Glove is garbage. Don't get me wrong. It's a
He's the
horrible
one arguing
accessory.
that it's not
I
garbage.
love it.
Do you have one?
Liking
I
something.
got one at Torg. Remember?
And you play with it.
I do.
You're a liar.
I swear to God.
Okay, liking something doesn't make it not
Now-
shit.
Hold on, no. Power Glove does work like it's supposed to if it is perfectly calibrated. It actually runs off of micro or supersonic sounds. Because those 3 sensors that go on your TV, those are actually receivers. And there's 2 not microphones, but speakers on your Power Glove that gives you the aw or the pitch, whatever it is, when you move it. The marketing campaign was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there was a whole movie that was nothing but a Nintendo advertisement.
Yeah,
if you
it was.
haven't seen The Wizard,
It's about John's life.
yeah, I mean, it was loosely based on my life. Me and Freddie sat down one day and we decided to make a movie about it. But that's another story. We'll do another podcast all about me and Freddie.
We'll do a podcast on The Wizard eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
No, what we should do is we should like play it and then do commentary over it.
like Mr. Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
That'd be funny. But I mean, it sold over 1 million units. It's just that once
Get
people
the
had it,
commentary.
Then you knew it was garbage.
once people had it, they hated it. I mean, they absolutely hated it. There was a line of games that was supposed to be released with it. Only 2 of them came out, and that was
Super Glove
Super Glove Ball and Bad Street Brawler. And there was actually 2 more slated to come out. I can't remember the names of them, but they never got released because it was such a piece of crap. Now that technology for that was actually stolen from something else. What was the name of
And
it?
then Nintendo is a bit famous for.
Yeah, I mean, it got stolen from. I wrote it down because I knew I was going to remember.
Yeah,
It's called a data glove,
Mhm.
which actually works really well. It was a $250,000 piece of equipment.
Fiber optics inside of it.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, and they dumbed it down so they could make it for $24 and sell it. I think retail was $75 for this thing, right?
In 1989, $75 is a lot more than 2017.
I know, but you gotta. I mean, they sold 1 million units in a year, and it was less than a year that was actually on the shelves. So the marketing wasn't the problem; it was the execution. Now, what I will say, Nintendo did, and they do this all the time. They're pioneers. that was the first step to VR, the first step to motion tracking.
Mm-hmm.
The Power Glove was. It wasn't done right because the technology wasn't there where they could actually afford to make it so people could buy it.
Yeah,
but
not
they
make
tried.
it good.
No, and they did that tons of times. I mean, the U-Force is another one.
That was Konami though, not Nintendo.
That was Nintendo. Yeah, well, Nintendo didn't make the Power Glove.
That's true. That was what, Bandai?
Yeah, I think so. They just licensed it, Nintendo. But all these accessories that were coming out for the Nintendo, most of them did not work as you wanted them to. They knew what they wanted them to do, but they couldn't quite make it do it. They released it anyways, telling people that it was going to do something awesome, and it didn't. The U-Force is a good example. So is that stupid rollerball thing they had.
The Rollin' Rocker.
Yeah, Rollin' Rocker. There's a ton of them. I mean, they had one of the first wireless controllers, too. Acclaim made it.
Yeah, you have those.
Yeah.
No, the Atari 2600 had one first.
Well, yeah, but they...
One of the first popularized ones.
And the Acclaim one was terrible. But I mean, as far as...
I've still never gotten it to work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That bad, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, is the Power Glove a terrible accessory? Yes, and that's why I'm talking about it. But Nintendo did everything right except for the actual product.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I have to say about that.
Well, I mean, we were talking about like what could have happened if it would have been, like where could it have gone? I guess.
Well,
If it had more games, it definitely would.
It's it may not have like more specific games, but it's compatible with I think every game in the library.
Yeah, but that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. If it had more
it's-
games made towards the technology, then it
Well,
would be
but the
more
technology was failed. I mean, it was flawed. I won't say it's failed. It's a flawed technology, the way they did it. And, they had more games slated, but they saw the writing on the wall, and they pulled it. In Japan, there wasn't even any games released specifically for the Power Glove. It was literally just an extra accessory you could buy. Like a NES Max or something.
So, well, the true story, Super Glove Ball, we had that at my aunt's without a Power Glove.
How much fun was that?
Oh man, I tried to play it all the time because the cover art's great.
Probably about as much as fun as playing it with the Power Glove.
It was a terrible travesty.
I can't defend the Power Glove with you. I
No.
just can't do it.
No, it's
I'm not, I get where he's coming from. It's cool to have. And yeah, you can play certain games with it. I mean, it does have the D-pad and the AB. You can actually just sit there and play regularly.
mm-hmm.
And if you have it positioned perfectly, yeah, it kind of works.
Beat Tyson with it, and I believe it works.
Someone said that they beat Tyson the other day with the
I
Power Glove.
want to
That's
see it. I don't want to hear a story. I don't
He
buy
was
that
joking.
shit.
Mm.
Another thing we can also kind of touch on is the mysterious left-handed Power Glove.
It doesn't exist.
Listen, I know. I know it doesn't, but somebody that I know and trust and isn't one to make crap up for no reason. Okay.
Also knows it.
Yeah. Oh, you know Mike. B-Gug?
Video Game Underground?
Oh, him?
Mike, okay. He's not one to just make crap up.
No, he's not.
He remembers going into Toys R Us and seeing a left-handed Power Glove because he was left-handed. And he thought about buying it. But you look anywhere on the internet, and this is the only reported case that I've ever heard of where someone says, oh yeah, I know it was there. You look up anything, there is no record of it whatsoever.
I mean, keep in mind, though, 30, 40 years ago, you remember things differently.
I don't know, man. I trust Mike.
I do, too. That's the thing.
Or we know Mike.
I mean, I trust Mike. He talks about the left-handed Power Glove, and he remembers it specifically.
He should have bought the thing and, put it on display and be like, it exists.
If he'd have the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
They put it out in Toys R Us for 32 minutes. Mike was the only one who ever saw it.
I
And
know.
then he left.
But,
I mean, it could have been that they were there, nobody bought them because, left-handed, it's 6% of the population. Got pulled back. I mean, this isn't going to wind up being stadium events where someone bought a couple.
I still say they're if it's set out for at least, we'll give it a week, one would have been purchased and been seen online.
I don't think it's real.
I don't either.
I don't think it's real, but Mike saying that he remembers it gives that glimmer of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that.
Because Mike's
that
not one to just
questionability.
BS,
Yeah.
I've never met anybody who knows more about his stuff than him.
Mike is. We talked about bringing him on the podcast.
I'm down.
I want to get Mike on the podcast.
Because Mike is very knowledgeable on so much. He has been in the game for so long. I mean, he is a staple in Northern Ohio as far as video games.
He really
and people
is.
love his theme song in Texas.
Yeah, we're part of a Facebook group for video game business owners, and we added Mike into it. And as soon as he gets added, people started calling him out and saying, "Hey, I know your song. I've heard your song. I love your theme song." And it's like the most monotone thing, but it's really
from his
catchy.
really old commercials
Yes.
with the dancing robots? Yeah.
Yes.
That is seriously the only reason I found his store. We were hanging out in Toledo. We used to go to another store all the time. He says, don't say other stores in his shop, so I won't.
Oh, where'd you go?
I'm not allowed to say.
I don't care.
So, I know.
just
It
talking
was
about
just,
video game
it was replays back when it was really good. Not trying defamation of your store, but...
Oh, on Alexis?
Yeah, that was the good one, man, back in the day. But, like, we were up there, and I was like... The commercials used to play on UPN. I watched SmackDown every week and saw them. And I was like...
Oh, you were right
See
next
at
to him on Alexis.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
that's when he was
let's...
off last year
Yeah,
still.
that was. I was like, let's see if the place still exists. And it does.
I used to go into that store. We're off topic, but I used to go
That's
in,
fine.
You know, when we started collecting, we got to know Mike really well. Actually, I helped move him into his new space over on McCord. If anyone's looking for a good game store to go to, Central McCord Video Game Underground, up in Toledo, in the St. James Plaza, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Really good store, really good owner. He's very knowledgeable. If you have a question about anything, he is going to know the answer.
The only thing I'm going to say to maybe be bad, Mike does not remember names, like at all.
He knows me.
He knows
you know enough people. It's hard to remember that many people. But I say we move on
Like
because
I
I'm
said-
expected to get home around 6:30ish. So
Not
he's
you.
told her 6:30.
6:37.
No, you said 6:30 last night.
No, I said 6:37.
Okay.
I'm gonna get
The
yelled
only
at.
other thing I'll say about the Power Glove is
Ryan
while
also
it
said we were gonna leave at 11:30.
That was my fault more than anybody's.
I'm just saying.
But go on.
I was gonna say while it was a failed accessory just in terms of usability, what it did do, Nintendo actually never gave up on the technology for motion, and they're the only ones that have actually done it well. And everyone hates on the Wii, but they did the Wii well.
I don't.
You hate on the Wii more than anyone.
What? You know what? You can't hate on a system that outsold anything else ever.
Yeah, you can. It
Okay.
just isn't.
The Wii, you can talk about marketing towards children and all that other crap
And
doesn't
old
matter.
people.
But they perfected it, and maybe not perfected, but name another company that has done it as well as Nintendo has. The Kinect, a monstrous failure.
Samba de Amigo, Sega. Come on.
Oh, God, I hate you. And that's it for the Power Glove. AJ, what you got, girl?
I was
You resemble that.
Go on.
So my one
games
is
over here.
what?
Just do your topic.
My one, because I'm a slacker, is another Nintendo one.
I almost did this.
Yeah, me and John were kind of fighting over who was gonna get it. But
He's got the best one of us, so
yeah.
I don't have one, but you know.
Well, so mine is another failed Nintendo product, but this one's actually a system, and it is not the Wii U.
You didn't fail. Go ahead.
The Wii U
The
kind of
Wii
fail.
U is a fail.
Wii U was a warm up for the Switch. Go ahead.
Which means it
But
was
it's
a
a fail.
failure.
Yes, the Nintendo 32X. We went over this today. Go
Yeah.
on.
So mine is the VR32, as it was codenamed before it came out.
Oh, the 3DS. Gotcha.
Yes. Yes.
That's
It was
that
a big
failure
failure
that
in
sold
Nintendo.
like what 12
That's-
units.
Yeah.
No, so mine is the Virtual Boy. It was designed by Gunpei Yokoi, who a lot of Nintendo fanboys know is the creator of the Game & Watch and the Game Boy
And Metroid.
and Metroid.
If I'm not correct, though, he knew it wasn't ready to go to market.
Yes.
He knew.
Yeah.
He totally knew.
Yeah.
But Nintendo wanted to rush it out because,
They're Nintendo.
yeah.
So,
But the bad thing about this is that the failure of the Virtual Boy is what led to Gunpei Yokoi leaving Nintendo after 31 years. And he went to go do his own thing, and then he died. Sadly.
Yeah.
I feel that could have happened regardless. I wouldn't call that a
yeah,
direct
no,
correlation with his
He did
dad.
die in a very
So
tragic
you're
way. I think he
saying-
was hit by a car.
Yeah, it was a car wreck. I don't think he was hit.
No, he was. It was like on a bike or.
Oh,
whatever.
I did not know that. I thought he was in another car.
No.
No, he was street meat.
So. Wow. So in 1992, they bought the rights to the technology for $5 million. They invested into this. Ouch. Yeah.
Once again, 1992, $5 million is a lot more money.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Especially for
so-
technology that makes you go blind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so $5 million to buy that tech. What's funny about the technology behind it is that Sega had already rejected it.
Wait, Sega,
Before.
this is shit.
Yeah.
Can I do a slight offshoot? And I guess this could have been one of my topics. Nintendo turned down Hue cards.
You guys.
That became the TurboGrafx 16. So go on.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah, but commercially the Turbo wasn't very successful.
In America.
Yeah. But we're talking about
Turbo,
NTSC.
not PC.
Yeah.
Like,
Go ahead though.
But
I keep getting interrupted by these guys. I want to listen. It is.
but yeah, so
Give me that knife for the quick.
go on.
what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, because $5 million, Sega turned it down because they didn't think that it was going to work as a home console. Surprise, it didn't work. Yeah. Does anybody know why they picked the monochrome red?
Because the other option, I believe, was green.
Yeah, but there was a specific reason of why they actually.
No, I know this answer.
I do too.
I do not.
Oh crap! It was
Man, Sega making a good choice. That's a
That's what I was about to
rare-
say. It's like in the mid '90s, like Sega knowing this was a bad idea. Wow, that's like some. It needs to get so.
That's
unsunny.
like the foresight of a god there for 1
So
minute.
they picked red because the high speed of the monochrome red eliminated the blur.
Oh,
that's it. It made it more visible.
It
Yeah.
made it more visible. Like it looks bad. Like
yeah, it does.
when you're using it, because I think all of us have one except you. Right?
I don't have one, but I've used one.
Yeah.
My
If you play that thing more than like 20 minutes, it's
It advises you not to on the
Yeah,
box.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. Is like in the first page of the manual, it had all these health warnings, and it's like
I've had a couple come through the store. I've owned a few. 10 minutes migraine.
yeah. Oh,
You know what else is great? When you really think about it, it kind of started the most annoying Nintendo trend of all time. You've been playing for an awful long time. You should take a break.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
At Essence, that's where that started.
So
Yeah. I got to
how
play
long was
one
that on the
growing up.
market?
It was okay. So it was shown first off in November '94 at its trade zone in Japan.
Okay.
But it was being rushed, like we were talking about earlier about Gunpei Yokoi. It was rushed to compete with the Sega Saturn coming out soon. Yeah, which
Got a
we'll talk
tie-in
about a
going
little
here.
later. Well, Saturn
Spoiler
and the
alert!
PS1.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert. But yeah, so it released in July of '95, and it was Well, that's in Japan. And it was $179.95. In '95, that is a lot of money.
But yeah, especially when the
Considered
Game
a
Boy
handheld.
launched at 100.
Yeah.
Not a handheld, but a portable, and that is the least portable I've ever seen. And that includes the Game Gear and the Lynx.
Right. Well, the Game Gear's not that.
The Game Gear.
It's
is
bulky
that
as hell,
bad.
dude.
Don't even-
I'm talking size.
So why do you take him as more credible than me all the time?
Your stream's lagging.
Yeah.
Are you watching us again?
But yeah, so it came out.
We're just randomly getting choked.
It came out in America in August.
Like
of
it's
95.
recording fine, but the internet here is getting choked.
Nintendo spent $20 million to promote it before it released. And it was only on the market for less than a year before they deemed it a failure and was like, this is just.
And it was like
not gonna
$50 at Toys R Us.
work. Yeah, it got discontinued and then clearanced out everywhere.
There were urban myths or legends, I guess, when it was out that would actually give you brain cancer.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I
I've
Yeah,
never heard
that
those,
was
but
an
I'm not
urban legend
surprised it's an
because-
urban legend.
Well, I mean, the headaches people used to get,
Yeah.
they thought they were getting cancer
Jesus.
from that alone. And that thing, it's a cool shelf piece now.
Oh, yeah.
That's all mine is.
I mean, I played.
It's the easiest library to collect for in North America.
22 games.
It gets expensive.
I know, like only one is super expensive though, and that's Jack Brothers.
Yeah, Jack Brothers. There's one more that's up there.
Waterworld's kind of expensive.
Is it bowling up there?
Nestor's Funky Bowling is, yeah.
Funky Bowling, 'cause that was actually. I used to have that one. That game was. When I
Bowling's up there.
had the Virtual Boy as a kid, I had that. Mario Tennis, because it was back in.
Everyone had Mario Tennis.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of Mario Tennis.
But yeah. But I mean, it got a price drop after 1 month. It was discontinued in March, which is only like 7 months later.
Yep.
So that's.
Nintendo's Gamecom,
And
if
it
you
only
will.
sold 800,000. They didn't even break 1 million. They at least sold 1 million Power Gloves.
Yeah.
But they couldn't even sell 1 million Virtual Boys, which is why they're kind of hard to find now.
And they sell for some good money now.
Yeah, they do. Most depressing story I've ever heard about one was at another game store. Guy said someone brought one in, complete in box, set it on the counter, went outside with the box, ripped it up and threw it in the garbage and said, "What do you give me for this?" Not even kidding.
I don't want to talk to you.
That's
I know it wasn't you, but you brought that
Well,
up.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't do that.
To be fair, can we believe that story? That was from a certain...
A shit store?
Yeah, it was from buybacks.
Oh.
Oh, great. We're not going to be allowed to talk about them either. Thanks, Brian.
Buybacks. They closed down. They're not in Toledo anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they're gone.
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, they've been gone. Because I went there trying to buy their inventory and they shipped it off to another store.
No, that's some bull.
They posted something a few months ago, like, if we're not making profit on this store, then we're closing it. So they closed a bunch of stores.
Killer threat.
I was a huge collector in this area for years before I opened a store.
Yeah, you were.
I have only been into there twice. And I used to make the rounds to every store once, twice a week. I've been in there twice.
We used to go to the one in Columbus a lot.
Because it was just one of the stores that had stuff.
Yeah.
And then, last time I went in, it was because they had a copy of The Little Mermaid for the NES for like $85.
You're kidding me right
And
now.
I walked out and I never went back.
Usually my measuring stick, up until recently when the game has been hovering at $30, used to be, if I walk into your store, I'm going to judge you based upon what you have Mario 3 for. This was at a time when Mario 3 was going for 7 still, and I saw it for 30, and I'm like, gone.
I got it for
25, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's a whole other conversation about rarity and wanted.
We still, that's
Supply and demand.
Yeah, it's like, everybody, we're not doing this topic.
No, we'll do this topic another
that's
time.
One of the topics I want Mike for around. I think
Oh my
Mike
god.
would be a good one to have.
If I can with him, he told me, like, he remembers selling Hagane for $11.
See, but that's the problem. Mike only remembers the bad deals he's done.
He talks about how he sold his whole TurboGrafx collection.
Yeah, he remembers everything he did. But the thing is, when Mike sold it for that much, it was worth that much.
Exactly.
And he thinks, what if I had sat on it till now?
Well, it could still be worth $11 and wouldn't have done you any good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And, he's got a million stories like that. He really does.
Well, you've been in the game as long as he has.
He was in business during the console wars. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he was.
That's kind of awesome.
And as much as Mike probably sounds like this decrepit old man, Mike doesn't look terribly old.
He's in his 50. He might be 50, 40s.
Yeah.
He's just been around.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good
grows
dude.
peppers.
Yeah, he grows peppers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Virtual Boy, absolute failure in every aspect, including marketing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's something.
Really
They should have definitely.
It should have been worked on a lot longer.
They should have finished it.
Well, it was just supposed to be a hold off till the 64 came out too. So
Right, but I mean, they still pushed it out early to compete with.
Was that supposed to explain why the 64 is also trash?
It's not. I don't care.
That's
it's
another
not.
conversation.
We can get into that another time.
You don't want me getting into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got another topic.
So I want to do his last because it's the best
It's
one.
going to be a long one.
All right. So my other topic's not very good. It's about Daikatana. Have you ever heard of Daikatana?
Thank God we had 2-3 weeks to pick these.
I have
And
been
that's what you
super
picked.
busy. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's like he just looked around my store and said, "What can I use?"
What
No.
sucks? That sucks.
No. But so I've talked about how I love Doom.
Yes.
And John Romero.
Hey, do you need a copy of 32X?
32X? No.
I've got a few.
No, John
Right
Romero
here,
is
Rocket
like
Soccer,
one of the top guys who worked on Doom, and came about like, you know what, fuck this place. I'm gonna go make my own game with blackjack and hookers. And he started talking up this game for years. That is Daikatana. He's like, it's going to have super advanced enemies that like know what you're doing. We're going to have all these different. All these different weapons and shit. And it's going to have like the best level layout and the killers. It's going to be what everyone said Duke Nukem Forever was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? He even started spending like a ton of money on an ad campaign that says John Romero is going to make you his bitch. And this is like early in 64.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, you're opening up like the early issues of Game Informer and Nintendo Power. There's just red page and there's like black blood. John Romero's gonna make you his. And if you've ever touched that game, about 5 seconds in, you're gonna get lost because it's literally.
This is a game for a stream at some point.
Daikatana. No.
Throw 30 minutes of your life
So
away.
here's what's the failure of the game? It's just a bad game. Executed
It's-
poorly.
You said John Romero made.
Sales.
You said John Romero made it.
Yeah.
That's why. Look at the pedigree behind it. This is the guy that made Doom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my. What's the failure here? Is
The,
it
the,
was
the
it
fact
sales?
that the
Was it
sales were in the
gameplay
shit.
terrible?
It's a bad game. The terrible sales, and it basically shit canned his career.
It would be like if you heard that like Miyamoto was the one behind the CDI Mario and Zelda games.
Yeah, that's kind of
You watch your mouth.
when you
I'm just
talk
saying.
about when you talk about the earliest American developers that meant something to the industry. He was kind of like a rock star, and to just go from Doom, and I think he worked on Doom 2 to Daikatana, which
Quake as well.
I don't know if he did Quake. But it just is amazing how quickly someone can spin out of control because of their own popularity into a shithole.
Yeah.
For, I believe the biggest issue that people have said talking about was he did what Sega did with Sonic 06. And all the testing groups, they're wrong. And threw the shit
Yeah,
out.
Sega move.
Yeah, that's a Sega move.
Oh, Sega. I can't say I've ever played it. It's 64 and
I've never even heard of it.
Oh, I had, but that's because of JonTron. That's the only reason I'd heard of it.
Oh, is there?
It was like his first
Yeah.
JonTron video.
Yeah, it's really old.
I've heard of it. I've never played it because it's.
Well, I'm gonna go
Well,
home and watch the John.
I think we can move on to the last topic then.
I always seem to pick the topics that are just kind of like, oh, I think this will work.
No, you're good for bringing something modern into it though, because
I have no knowledge on modern
Mhm.
whatsoever, and I'm okay with that.
But that's not even modern, really.
Well,
no, that's not. But you know the stuff with Destiny too.
yeah. But yeah,
we talked
I'm
about
bad
that.
at I'm bad at picks. But
Destiny's Child.
Daikatana,
Oh,
yeah, was not a.
The other two nobody
Left
talks
Eye.
about.
Left
It is a
Eye.
total shithole.
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, I think Queen Latifah was in there.
Oh yeah.
Missy Elliott, I
I'll
think.
take your man. Yeah. All right, my last topic,
Oh.
and this might be a doozy.
Yeah, we knew this one was going to take a
And
while.
this is strictly
Probably should have separated Austin and John for this one.
this is strictly in
Holding
relation
them back.
to the U.S. release. We're not talking about Japan. We're not talking about it's U.S. release, and that is of the Sega Saturn, and how it basically tanked Sega. I mean,
It's part. It is part of it.
It's a
You hold your 2
big.
cents in, sir.
Well,
It's a big part of it. Now here,
John has numbers.
I took some notes here. I wrote down some dates. Okay, the original release date for the Sega Saturn was supposed to be in. They called it Saturn Day because it was a Saturday.
Sonic 2 launched on Sonic Tuesday.
Yeah, so stupid. Was September of '95. They were doing that so they could have a lot of launch titles. They could have some good stuff out there. I think what was the main one?
Virtua Fighter 2.
Virtua
I
Fighter.
believe.
Yeah, they wanted to have out for it. And it was going to coincide actually with Sony's release of the PlayStation, because Sony was dropping theirs in September as well, early September. Both of these were supposed to happen, and it wasn't ready. And what happened was I wrote his name down because I forgot. I knew I would forget it. Where'd I put it? Tom Kleinden was the CEO of Sega at the time.
Kalinske.
Or Kalinske?
Yeah, it's Kalinske.
I can't even read my
Tom
handwriting.
Kalinske.
Yep, that's right. Tom Kalinske. I can't even read my handwriting.
He was also a genius, but this was stupid.
He was the CEO. Well, he did a lot of stuff other than Sega.
Yeah.
He was Sega America.
Yeah, he was
but that's,
the CEO of
That's
Sega
where the problem
America.
was with the North American
Yeah.
launch.
And at Sega's E3 in '95,
One of my favorite
and this was in
moments
May
ever.
of '95. And there's a lot of speculation as to why he did this, but most people generally agree that it was because he was scared of what Sony was doing. Because
See, I had heard that.
Hold on,
Sorry.
just let him.
because this, I mean, everybody knows that Nintendo boned PlayStation or no, boned,
Sony.
Sony.
Sweet, sweet.
Okay,
babies.
well, what
And
a lot
thought
of
Philips
people,
was a better investment.
well, what a lot of people don't know is that Sony also went to Sega,
Mhm.
and Sega told them a lot of stuff, but they ended up not merging or anything like that. And Tom, I can't say his last name, Kalinske, got up on stage at E3 and out of nowhere, and he didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell the game developers. He didn't tell anyone else.
Major retailers.
The major retailers had no clue. He said, available today.
At select
But here's the thing: they didn't have enough units to ship out to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so KB Toys didn't get any, and KB Toys from that point on wouldn't carry anything Saturn even when they were available. So they got shipped out to Electronics Boutique, they got shipped out to Toys R Us, and a couple other ones. Okay, they only had 30,000 units.
Oh my god!
At that time to ship. Okay. So, and here's the thing: if they had waited till September, they had a $50 million ad campaign that they were going to build up the Saturn for its release. They were going to go crazy with it. They were going to get it out there, and he just dropped it in the middle of May for no reason, other than he was scared what they were going to do. Now, what's funny is Sony, because they released their price point at what, $499 or $399?
The exact same as the Saturn.
Yeah, $399, which was high.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is $95. $399 for a brand new system. Sony got on stage 3 hours later and said, well, ours is $299.
Oh, yeah.
He walks up, has his packet, gets it ready like he's $299,
Yeah.
and then he walks away. He might as well just drop the f***ing mic.
Okay, and people were actually thinking that was going to push Sony into dropping early, and they didn't, which was very smart of them, because the titles they dropped at release.
Well, that's why if they would have just launched at their regular window, the brand loyalty to Sega with their launch titles, with some third-party launch titles.
Well, the problem was that most of these game developers, the games weren't ready because they were told a September drop date.
It also doesn't help the Saturn was shit to program for.
Well, I mean that's a whole other thing. But I mean, they came out way too early. They had no advertising. Just one day, oh look, Saturn's in stores. And I was talking to my buddy Tim because Tim remembers
the Saturn.
Tim remembers
I do too.
Okay, he remembers walking into Toys R Us and going to the video game section like he always does, and there's this console called the Saturn, and he had never heard of it. He goes, what is this? Because he read all the magazines back then when he was a kid. He did all that crap. He'd never heard of it. He didn't know what it was, and then he sees it's $400. And the other problem with the Saturn, other than that, and I can't remember what I was going to say, so someone else talk.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about the 32X?
Oh, yeah, here, let me...
32?
No, okay, here's what else I was going to say. And the other problem with the Saturn was that people didn't know the system, and a lot of fans of Sega weren't trusting Sega anymore because of crap like the 32X and all these horrible add-ons they threw onto the Genesis. Okay, and the other thing that they were doing is they were really pushing hard at the 32X, which kind of took away from sales of the Saturn.
That was North America's problem, because the Genesis was still doing really good in North America, and Sega Japan's like, we want to launch this. Nah, f*** that.
Sega was winning.
The Genesis is doing great. We don't want to do that.
Sega was winning console wars.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that right now. They really were. In units sold and everything else, they were winning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then with the Saturn drop, they destroyed themselves because Sony dropped in September. Okay, and I've got the numbers on what they sold.
Oh, I'm sure they're shit too.
Okay, let's see. PS1 launched September 9th. Saturn had only sold 80,000 units at that point.
I think I remember this number.
Okay, Sony in pre-orders alone had 100,000. That's disgusting. By May of '96, Saturn had sold 600,000 consoles. Sony was at 1.2 million, and they released 6 months after the Saturn did.
And then the following year, Nintendo would release the most technically inferior of the console of the generation and still fucking do well.
Oh, hell yeah, they did. Are you kidding me? And that's when Nintendo won. I don't care what anyone says. Nintendo won. Because it wasn't a battle anymore. So the only battle they had was Sony. Genesis, or Sega, I should say, shot themselves in the foot.
Well, so did Nintendo. They created the biggest competition.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why we were steering away from that merger, because that's a long conversation.
Oh, it is.
About what happened, what did happen. I mean, it's just, I'm trying to think what else to say here other than how stupid could you be?
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, part of the reason that they launched the Sega Saturn early and they showed it off at E3 and everything in America.
The first E3, by the way.
Yeah, it was
the first.
I think it was a call by Sega of Japan.
No.
It wasn't?
No.
No.
It was Sega of America. They panicked and said, we have to get the install base 6 months before they do.
Now,
I was thinking he was like, this is a bad idea.
Well, now here's the thing, though. The guy, his name was Tom, whatever his name was.
Kalinske,
thank you. He was having a lot of pressure from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and eventually he did resign because of that, because he was sick of being their marionette.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to support to say that, they told him to do that. That was on him. Nobody knew.
They also despise him because I believe Kalinsky was the guy who said, we're going to package the Genesis in North America with Sonic the Hedgehog. The f*** you are. We're doing it. And they did, and it's what propelled them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of the most boneheaded public things you've ever seen done. And, I mean, if they hadn't done that, what would have happened? Would Sony have still crushed them? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it would have been more even.
Okay.
I don't think they'd have the
that
Xbox.
$100 difference.
Well, and they were supposed to have a Virtual Fighter edition of the Saturn that was like $500 and something dollars.
It'd be pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
But and little known fact, there was actually a company that bought the rights to the Saturn that I can't remember what it was called now, but they were going to release the Saturn for like $50-$60.
Damn. Nice.
Towards the end of the run.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
Kind of like Jaleco did with the Model 3 Genesis.
Exactly. Yeah. It was supposed to happen. I can't remember the name of the console, what they were going to name it, but it never actually happened.
So, can we talk about what else the North American Sega Saturn was missing? Segata Sanshiro.
Yeah.
The greatest mascot that ever existed. He's up there for me, man.
For a television campaign, Segata Sanshiro is pretty good.
Yeah, I just it to this day it baffles me, and I hate Sega.
I love Sega, and I hate their decisions.
Sega with a passion. I hate every console they've ever put out, but they could have won. They could have actually still been a major player. And they're a major player in different areas now. Obviously, they're not in the console market.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even really care about software anymore. They're not pushing Sonic the Hedgehog and Yakuza. They don't push jack shit anymore.
Well, they're in arcades, man.
Oh, yeah, I know, but that's more Japan.
Still...
It's not big over here, really.
Yeah, they're huge in Japan, though.
Yeah, Sega's fan base in Japan is still amazing.
Are you that bored?
It was an email.
Are you that bored with what we're doing?
Man, I think Sega Saturn launched with 3 games.
Daytona USA.
Best one.
Yes.
Game over, yeah.
But that got destroyed by
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer,
Ridge
yeah.
Racer.
It was
and,
Ridge Racer. That was the
and
launch.
It was weird, and it's funny because everyone looks at Ridge Racer, and then they look at Daytona, and they think to themselves, oh, well, the Saturn can't handle 3D as well as the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which, technically, it's not really true.
No.
Well,
it is meant to be a
2D powerhouse.
Yeah, 2D
well,
powerhouse.
because that's why it was so hard to program for, because they had already they were done with it, and it's like, have you seen what the PlayStation's gonna be able to do with 3D? And they're like, shit, how do we do this? Throw an extra processor in it. That's a good idea. That doesn't make. Just throw another processor. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they did it. And that's why no one knew how to program the damn thing.
I mean, and they just that one misstep, and it's a giant one, launched Sony. I mean, because one, the price point, two, the campaign or the marketing campaign that they put out for Sony was just phenomenal. And you can't expect to just put something in a store with no advertising and think it's going to sell.
Oh no!
Especially not on the Sega name after all the horrible debacles with the Genesis.
If it tells you anything, it was such a shit show. That's why they wanted Dreamcast to be its own brand without the Sega name attached to it.
Yeah.
Because the best thing they ever did was that fishing controller.
The Dreamcast?
Yeah, love it.
Debatable, but okay.
We need to do a Sega Bass fishing stream.
I'm down for that. I love that game.
I don't think I can.
You can.
I physically will get ill.
Because we're streaming Sega?
But so Daytona USA, amazing game.
Virtual Fighter 2.
Yep.
And I think I know the other one is Clockwork Knight.
No, Clockwork was very close. He's in the launch window.
Okay.
Which that was the reason I wanted to play a Saturn when I was a kid, was Clockwork Knight. I love that game.
Well, that's the thing. There were less than 10 games for the first 3 months of the system. There were less than 10 games.
I think it was 3 at launch.
There were 3 at launch for the Super Nintendo, but they were really high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did that launch right.
And I think it was 4. F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Super Mario World, and what was the 4th one? Or was it just those 3?
I don't remember.
But I mean, that's also a different.
That's
also a different time of
launch
experience. Because now, if you don't ship a game platform without 10 games at least, you're a maniac.
The PlayStation 2 launched with like
I don't
12.
know.
They just most of them sucked.
Look at what the Switch did.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild.
Arms. Well, Arms,
was in the launch window, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Look at it. I mean,
Just Dance.
Yeah.
And I think that was it.
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5 titles.
And they leaned so heavily on Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
how well
they did.
And it wasn't even an exclusive.
No.
So your 3 Sega Saturn launch titles are Daytona, Virtual Fighter, and Panzer Dragoon.
Oh, duh. You think I'd know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have known that, actually.
Why don't you know that?
Dumb idiot.
I ain't selling the shit for
I'm not a
living.
Sega guy.
Well, you're
People
selling
come
the
in
shit
here
for-
to ask me about Sega. I'm like, you came to the wrong place.
You came to the wrong
Do
neighborhood.
you see the link? Do you see the Spider-Man?
Do you see the Sonic?
I mean,
I do.
yeah, that's a cool Sonic, though.
I meant the one that's painted.
That's not painted.
That one's from Sonic Advance
Oh, yeah, that's
2 or
That's
3.
the Dreamcast.
No, that's Sonic Advance 2 or
Not that.
3.
We're talking about my
Oh.
like.
Yeah, he has a stand-up from Sonic Adventure 2.
That's 2.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty vibe. Who's on the stream? Who are we talking to?
Network.
It's Network.
Welcome back, Network.
Yeah. I was just trying not to interrupt the podcast by like, hey, what's up, man? You know.
Well, too late now. He
Yeah.
just stood up. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, in a brief synopsis,
We did briefly talk about those, by the way.
Saturn absolutely destroyed Sega. I mean, it was a major contributor to the downfall of an empire. I mean, it was not the initial blow, but it was the killer. The initial was with the 32X and just that horrible crap.
I don't even agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree that the end of the Saturn was the final nail in the coffin when after only 2 years they said, Sega Saturn is not our future. As though any brand loyalty you hadn't already left you. That was it.
Well, the brand loyalty was already out the window with all their flaky accessories to the Genesis. They just kept adding on, and they were crap. They spent so much time and money trying to hype this 32X, but then they put nothing out for it.
There's 30 games, I think. 32 or 34 games.
Okay, and it wasn't like the quality's not even there. I mean,
It's really not.
it was part of it. Yeah, I think the Saturn.
How many times are we going to talk about 32X Doom today? That's like the
Hey.
5th time.
Hey, it's Doom. Then John Romero flushed his career down with Daikatana.
Oh,
Brought it back.
Is this Battletoads? No, it's Doom 3. Is that what we're doing today?
Yes. Battletoads and Doom 3. We'll have them fight it out. Who will win in a death battle?
I don't think that's our channel.
Alright.
Those guys don't even own it anymore.
No, not
He does
really.
now.
But yeah, personally, in like a retrospective way, there's a lot of good games on the Sega Saturn, but
They're all expensive.
yeah,
Not all. Most. Like 80% of the good ones.
like the Mega Mans that are on the Saturn play better on the Saturn.
No, it's debatable. A lot of people say 8 is better on PlayStation.
I'm not saying that because it has X4 on the Saturn.
No, I actually do prefer playing X4 on the Saturn.
I prefer playing 8 on the Saturn, but
I prefer just not having a Saturn.
Yeah, we know, John. But it can play your CDs, John.
Yeah.
And it was weird. I like my aunt who I used to hang out. Like I would hang out with her at her house every weekend.
that Donkey Kong Country.
Her son had bought a Sega Saturn. I was like, cool, I get to play this. And then he took it up to his room and never played it.
That's what I did with the Xbox One.
Now you can play Cuphead.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason I want one.
Well, my Xbox One's in the kiosk.
You're gonna be at work playing Cuphead a lot.
I don't want to link this to the internet when people can use it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but you could link it, download Cuphead, and then disconnect it again.
I guess. Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah, that really is kind of the cutting point off of the podcast. Thank you, Network. We wish we could do this all day, kind of. I think we get tired of each other after a little while.
I don't.
Mm.
John
But,
does, but
I don't like
Yeah,
people.
we will be back. We won't have another podcast until the new year because this is
Well, we might. We have
No,
a week.
And then we're going
we have
it'll
a
be
week
Christmas
break,
Eve.
but we have a week break.
Yeah, I mean we would have to do one on Christmas
I
break.
I
basically.
can't do on Christmas Eve. That's when I do
If
Christmas.
we keep to our
Oh, you weren't
Sunday
invited.
schedule.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. Though we don't
Yeah.
have to do it on Sunday.
If we do one before the end of the year, it'll be on an odd day. But
You know my schedule.
yep. So Cuphead's great. I wanted to play it.
Buy Cuphead.
It's great. He's never played it, but he knows it's great for that reason.
Who, me?
Didn't you just
No.
say that?
No, I want to play it. It looks great.
Well, you said it's great. Like, you can't make that call yet.
I'm sorry. I misconstrued my words all the time. You know that.
I don't think that's the right word.
It's not.
Matt Murray's been streaming it.
Has he?
And S ranking the shit out of that game.
I
He's
need
starting
his
to-
stream.
Just go to his Facebook.
He shares it all the time.
I don't ever
Don't
see it. I have his
misconstrue
Facebook.
that.
Yeah.
That was a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rachel.
So, all right. Well, I think that's it from us
Yeah.
here at John's podcast.
Starring John.
starring John.
To be fair, you were the strong point this week.
I'm always the strong point.
No, you're not.
Network, go watch the rest of them. Tell them who's the strongest.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
What's he saying?
He read out loud what I said. All right.
So,
But either way, man, and anyone else who decided to pop in tonight,
Or watches this on YouTube.
or watches this on YouTube.
and we will be at the start of the new year, putting this up on iTunes and all those other.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we'll have it at least on iTunes for download.
I think,
MySpace. Zanga.
Zanga doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
Vine is coming back, so
Is
we'll
it?
put it on Vine. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I believe
Tout,
this is
if you will.
6 second. Oh my God. All right. Either way. Good night or goodbye and good night. I can't even do my.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You see what happens?
Get outta
I
here.
just get beat up.
Get out of here.
Guys,
Crap.
guys, don't go.
We need a better editor.
The tab.
No.